The first poem, I'll just to warm myself up a bit, I'll do this poem that I wrote actually last summer. I was at UBC in Vancouver above the famous and sometimes infamous beach that we fought so hard for in the 60s, the nude beach that's known as Wreck Beach. And I had to give honor to the survival of this great beach. And this poem is called The Wreck. The beautiful bodies remain. It took me 40 years to return to the beach. The stairs enormous now, endless, where once there weren't even stairs. The downward flow towards water and sun, and even more endless the return past the grave beside the trail of the girl who died too young and is celebrated every year by her Wreck Beach family. It's the naked who made this place and held it in the roar of an era when we reached outside of ourselves, naively goofy, dancing, naked, beautifully naked, clothing optional, as the government would have it, after the fact, on the standardized sign where nudity is equal to dogs and parking and vending. Ah, well, the beach lives beyond the bureaucracy that discovered there were people down there singing their old songs. Margaritas, marijuana, mushrooms, organic juice, sarongs, water, water, water. The crescent of sand boiling with bodies, life in all its variety, attractive and red, fat women, slug-pale men who resemble refugees from Auschwitz, pot-bellied men and women, small dick, big dick, the man with testicles like bag dangling oranges, the woman with a shaved bird-winged pussy, the pouch, the cleft, the hairy, the purple panties, small breasts, dangling pricks, the perky, the floppy, the perfect. We're all here, copper-colored, striped, white, scarlet, and painful, the gorgeous and the homely gorgeous, tattooed, pierced, and shining with oil, the knob knees, the six-pack abdomen, the impressively bumpy, shaved skull. This is the body in its variety, clothed and unclothed, and the minds that go with it, the gawkers, and the bored, the stoned young men who bought the mushrooms and dived into the mud beside the Canada geese, painted themselves into a savage joke and laughter, watered with a few beer, while their bikini beautiful companions rolled their eyes, displaying the patience of lovers under a hot sun. We must adore the smiles, the truly relaxed, the thick and the misshapen, though not the creep playing with himself until someone asks him to leave, perhaps too politely. The slim, flame-haired woman with tiny breasts and endless legs, all the grace of a dancer, the old withered couple, even their scars are tanned, sipping a good wine from crystal they packed for at least a mile. We approach the wreck the way we arrived, naked and lovely to the world. I don't think this poem needs any explanation. It's actually going to be on my, unfortunately I don't have my musicians here. Kelvin, I could have used you tonight. This one is called In the Mindano Deep. In the Mindano deep, 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 there are fish designed to hunt prey larger than themselves. They snatch their victims by the belly, break them in two, fold them over, and swallow them whole. This reminds me of my lawyer. In the Mindano deep, 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 there are fish designed to hunt prey larger than themselves. They snatch their victims by the belly, break them in two, fold them over, and swallow them whole. This reminds me of my first wife. But I wouldn't wish her cruel returns for all her adventures, not leeches on her body or chemotherapy hair, nothing as wild and ugly as that. No, I offer her my good love and good hunting too, swimming down there in those dark waters in the Mindano deep. I think she's even forgiven me for that. This is a poem that actually is on the my CD, and we sort of kind of channeled the trogs for it, but I'll have to do that vocally. And this came out of a trip I made to China some years ago now, and it's called Mayo. There's a word the Chinese use, the happiest word in China. Mayo. It means I'm sorry. It means no thanks. Mayo. It means it's busted. It's broke. It don't work. You missed the train. It's hooped, clapped, shot, thrashed. The clock's slow. The radio died, fading away with great tenderness. The toilet's leaking. The shower's farting brown stuff. And yes, there are no more towels. Mayo. Out of adversity, out of the terror, out of ripped fingernails and splinters, comes the only possible celebration, comes Mayo. Your child is playing in traffic. There's a rabid bat in the house. The canned peas have botulism. Mayo. It means simply, you're fucked. Mayo. It means nothing, no more. It's born, it's torn like a dead dog's eye. It's chopped and lopped, it's mean, it's done, insolvent, on the rocks. Turn on the radio, give it birth. Listen to the word slant across the world. Listen to the word break against the earth. Quien es, said Billy the Kid in the dark of his life before the bullet hurled his brain into the cold, cold earth. Mayo. And it means maybe you should have another drink before you crawl back into the dumpster to find that lost widget. It means watching your truck catch fire, going down the highway, and then singing all your favorite old songs as you begin the long walk home on the loneliest road in America. Mayo. When you can find the laughter in loss, it means you can never lose. I think I'm going to have a little more fun before I change a bit to my pacing here. This poem, I'm actually in a very lovely hotel, I would like to say. Even though it's so dark in the room, I wish I had my sort of pit light that I could walk around in there. But this is about what happens to many of us on traveling, when we're traveling and doing readings and touring. And this actually started with Susan Musgrave, who one time told me she travels with her own pillow, and then went into a long digression about all the obscene things you can find in hotel rooms. And so I have to reply to that. So I wrote her this poem, and it's called Praise for the Cheap Hotel. I have this friend who travels with her own pillows. She'd heard the stories of dust mites and detritus and the human ash left behind as we burn our own skin just being alive, how a black light will reveal the stains that remain from love affairs and porno films. I know another man who won't turn a tap off in a public washroom for fear of contaminating what he's just cleaned. Well, I've slept in the dirty sheets of others, laid myself down in the dust of my ancestors, slept with relatives unmet. You can't embrace beauty until you've kissed her ugly sister and loved her more. Lay me down among the bodies of the living and the dead, even when the bed is dirty and cheap and the air conditioner hums Amazing Grace loudly over and over again. I got a stuck page. Lay me down in the bed of history so I can sleep with the secrets of love lost, of love never found, or love that died or was ruined. I want to turn on the lights and watch the cockroaches run for cover. Let me sleep with construction workers and hookers, once rich stockbrokers on the fly from the law, young women who left home for a new future, and destitute immigrants from Bombay. I am home everywhere, especially when I am broke and traveling cheap, because that is when I am most rich, sleeping in the dust of my community. Lay me down among the 1,000 bodies in the bed. I am ready to sleep in the arms of the world. like that one, eh? I was going to read this one tonight for Bill A. Nickerson, but he's gone off and left us. So I think I'll read it anyways. It's called Ladyboy at the Siem Reap Bridge. I just recently returned from Cambodia. Beauty smiled at me on the Siem Reap Bridge, guarded by the seven-headed Naga. All her charms on display, the platinum blonde shimmering hair, her high, full chimer breasts, the classic willow woman waist. 40 years ago, I would have said yes, 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 just for the experience and the joy of discovery. But I am sadder now, and I could only smile and pass her some money before I walked away from beauty. This is a poem. I was on an expedition up in the near Arctic some years ago, and my new collection will be called The Wind River Variations, and this is one of the poems from that great canoeing trip that was almost a month long down this incredible watershed that, of course, they're planning to do all the usual things, uranium mines and pipelines and so on. Probably the last great untouched watershed in North America. It's a very large area, and we've been fighting to save all 5 rivers, and so far we're not winning on any of them. And the poem is called Tracking Myself. Leaning down, my palm in the sand, fingers spread, this is the kingdom of dawn. My morning hand tiny against reality, the claw print of a grizzly. I follow it. I follow myself. We all follow. The following is what we follow. A mink danced in the midnight sand, and a fox pursued it. Then an amiable moose with a mind blurred by the sexual goofiness of the approaching season, curious about something only a moose could be curious about, tagged along after the fox. This is the world that walks in beauty. I remember the arctic breath of the night, my fluttering tent, the animals misting the air around me in the sparse willows, leaves upraised like yellow prayer hands, roots suffocating in the reach of the newly arrived river sand, the dune where the animals walk. Their feet walk in beauty, and the memory of the child I was walks in beauty alongside my favorite homing pigeon who loved a little stroll before coming home, the bird that was run over on the road on the 10th birthday of my dreaming. Once I walked in real beauty. I was the knock on the back door. My mother heard. Go away, she said. Go around to the front door. Not knowing I was bleeding after falling off the swing and watching it come back in slow motion and clunk against my skull. I'm washing the floor. But I'm wandering in my terrible beauty, so I circled around to the front door where this awful, silent child gave her the gift of witnessing a mother's innocent mistake, my head's blood flowing from my leaky crown. That's when she shrieked, of course, and she still walks in beauty, my beautiful mother. Step on the gray sand of the dawn. Another beauty walks there. A wolf followed the moose. A grizzly, curious with event, followed the gestures on the ground. I put my hand in its paw print and learn I am very small, tracking myself. Child of the East End, lost one, street kid, poor boy who once ate out of dustbins and strutted on the neon streets for money, head pounding with the nail of every year. I'm following a bear that's following a wolf, that's following a very confused moose, that's following a fox, that's following a mink. This is the path of the natural world, a line that goes all in a circle. And I think I'll wrap up with this poem. That I wrote on our farm on Salt Spring Island. Some friends were going for a walk, and we had been into the Scotch a little, and I started giving them directions. And and the directions got a little elaborate, as you'll see. But I realized in the end that I wasn't describing how to get down to the bottom pasture, but I was describing the world that I'd lived in. And this poem, I call it Night Directions for the Lost, which is the title of my CD. And of course, out of sheer spite, I never put the poem on the CD. Night Directions for the Lost. Turn left when you pass the frog barking under the pump house, and follow alongside the brown bats dipping low above the pond. Since all is near invisible, you can name everything. We will let you give words to the dark. Call back your memories, the Casbah and Casablanca, the fragrant alleys behind Main Street where the hookers shot dreams into their arms, the road that led to where it ended. Call this a thistle seed, call that a fence. Call it all the wheel of the world. Call it the whispering pasture under your feet, and that noise like a marble falling downstairs. Call it the owl celebrating the mouse it swallowed. Call your heart alive and pounding. Call yourself a human being who sings in the shadows. Name the animals, name the plants, name yourself, and keep on going until you can call it paradise. Thank you.